Well, hey YouTube, it's Elvis Ammo here. Hey, today we're going to shoot some 357 Magnums. So I figure we'll do the shooting portion of the video first, and we're going to shoot some 357 Magnums. I'll give you, more details after we get done shooting, and there will also be details on the target that you will see. 357 Magnum, 14 grains of Alliant 2400 powder. That's a Lee cast bullet, powder coated, and I'll give you more details on that in a minute. But in this video we're going to be shooting for an accuracy test, and we're going to be shooting at 12 yards, and then I'm also going to show you a target at 25 yards. 12 yards, we're going to go ahead and shoot 2 groups, and then we'll talk about the details when we're done. Alright, so you should be able to make out the basic details of what we're shooting on the target, and I'm just going to go ahead and shoot 2 groups on there just to make it more interesting, and then we'll talk about the details at the bench. Here we go. Go for group number 2. I was kind of all over the place on that one, so hopefully I did the right thing by wanting to shoot 2 groups. Here we go. I should have stuck with the first one. Got one more. I was about to give up. Alright. I pretty much suck right now. Let's take a look at that. Alright. So, you've seen the information. We're going to look at the target in just a minute, but I thought I'd tell you, the specs. Just before I shot those groups, I shot over the chronograph. I shot 5 shots over the chronograph with an average of 1,281 feet per second. The standard deviation was 2797. So not the best in the world, but the first shot that I fired was 1324. It kind of went high out of a it was cold morning, cold bore, just for your information, the first shot was 1324, 1261, 1265, and then I had a 1296, and then 1261. So 3 of the shots was 1261 and 1265, 3 of them. So I said that to say this: all of my shots, all of my my loads are from mixed brass, and they were also loaded in the progressive press using the Lee Auto powder measure. So they were all done in a progressive press with the powder measure, the Lee Auto drum powder measure. So just to let you know how all of this was done. And mixed brass, when I say mixed brass, I mean nickel brass, nickel plated, regular brass, all 357 Magnum, of course. And I'll just let you see a few of them here. They were nicely crimped, pretty decent crimp. I don't necessarily call this a full power load, even though I've heard people call these loads with 2400 full power loads. Everybody, I think, has a different opinion of what a full power load is. I'm going to be doing some full power loads. For me, full power is done with, like your Winchester 296, your little gun, other powders like that. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is using this powder, the Alliant 2400, using 14 grains. 14.0 grains is what I used. Let me tell you the rest of the story before I move on. The bullet that I used was this one right here. That was the bullet that I used, and I'd had some made up in different colors, and that's why you see all these different colors. I just had different colors of them mixed up in a jar, so just so you know, why is it so colorful? So I just pretty much just went, I didn't pick them out at all. But using the 2400 powder at 14 grains, and we all translate things a little different. About when it comes to cost, especially. So to me, the Alliant 2400 is a little bit expensive. The powder is not the cheapest to begin with, and then because you're adding 14 grains of it, you can really go through a lot of powder really fast. So that's always a concern for me. But I feel like the load was really good, and let's face it, we don't shoot as many of our Magnums as we do 38s and other cartridges for that matter, but Magnums we don't shoot as much, or I don't at least. But I do like, just like many of you, we like to shoot a good full power load and just feel the power of that Magnum load. For whatever reason, whether we're going long distance or hunting with it. So that's my take on that. So with that said, one of the things that I want to do is I'd ordered some long shot powder. So what I'm thinking is I haven't loaded Magnums with the long shot, but what I want to do is the long shot is going to give us, we're going to use about half the amount of powder. you know, shooting the long shot and more than likely increase our velocity at the same time. So using half the powder, increasing our velocity. So we'll just see if we can get some good accurate loads with our 357 Magnum using long shot. So that's coming up. You know, so that's always the concern for me. You know, using up so much powder. So let's look at these targets. All right. So I shot. I don't know why I wanted to shoot 2 groups. I guess because I kind of cheated and I'd done some of this testing on another day, and instead of shooting the video, you know, by doing the testing. And you know, I've tested this powder from, you know, like 13.8 grains all the way up to 14.4 grains of powder, and 14 grains was kind of in the middle there, and it seemed to give me the best group. You know, at the highest, at the maximum grains, I was getting a little bit of horizontal stringing, and sometimes, of course, we know, you know, we have to determine whether it's us shooting or or the load itself. But this was the I was a little disappointed, to be honest with you, in the group shooting, you know, at 12 yards, and you know, this was I don't know why I was so disappointed, because these are actually decent groups, but we can get kind of snobby, let's face it. So this was under an inch right here, this first group, and then I had to shoot a second group so I could, you know, do worse, you know, about 1.25 inches, you know, on this second group. So that's the way, that's what it is, you know. That's honestly, you know, I could probably give you more excuses than we have time to talk about on why I sucked at shooting these groups. And, you know, my eyes watering, too cold, too nervous, couldn't hold my head still, bobbing around, my elbows slipping. You know, I mean, the list just goes on and on, guys, right? So so that's that. And I might have even been a little bit, you know, excited about what I done the other day in my testing, where I shot a group at 25 yards. And maybe I was just so satisfied in what I'd already done that I just kind of hung my head on that and just shot too fast. So there's another excuse. But this was a group that I shot at 25 yards right here. This was the first group that I shot to kind of get a feel of where I was, and I had a spotter, and he was like, "Dude, you're shooting way left here." So I was able to control myself, and then I moved on to shoot this group, and that's less than 1.25 inches if you don't judge me by this bullet. But of course, if we were, you know, if I was being, you know, judged on a group, this one would obviously be included. But for the purpose of this video and showing you this, and just, I guess, bragging about how good I did at 25 yards with not being able to see real good, of course, you know, from that distance, I'm just kind of bragging, I guess, about this load. So I'm not real concerned. The funny thing is, you know, I shot, you know, a better group at 25 yards than I shot at half that distance here. And but anyway, that's the group right there. I'm just kind of babbling on, I guess. But you know, that's the group, 25 yards. I mean, I was pretty stoked about that. And I mean, I knew from my testing initially that I had a good load. So, you know, for a reloader, you know, we're going to look at something like this, and we're going to see the potential in that load, and we may disqualify this one just because everything landed right here, and it's obvious that I tossed one over here. So I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it, from a perspective of, is this a good load or not, you know, not on scoring. But anyway, you know, I thought that was pretty exciting. I was very excited when I shot that group, even though I threw that one. I'm not the best at, you know, bullseye shooting to begin with, so I was totally stoked, you know, by shooting that. So there's our targets. You know, some of the things, you know, coming up, you know, is the, you know, with the 357 is I have that long shot, and of course there's 1,000 different bullets, you know, that we can test. I mean, there's really no end to all of this, except for the lane that I'm in, you know, and that is, you know, kind of, I kind of just jumped into the 357 Magnum, and you know, kind of a, you know, extension of the 38, you know, series that I've been shooting, you know, for accuracy, 9mm, 38, 357. Got the long shot coming, half the price, more velocity, and then move up to some full power loads and see how accurate we can shoot those as well, because that's really what it comes down to, especially when we're talking about full power loads, because they really are for hunting longer distances, 50, 100 yards, that kind of thing. So that's really about all I got. Seems like I'm forgetting something. I'll tell you what. I'll end on a good note. There was a joke that I was surfing around through some of the forums, and I seen where one of our viewers, probably one of you, might be listening right now, said a joke. It was an Elvis Ammo joke, and I laughed my butt off, and this was how the joke went. I walked into a bar, and I saw a guy powder coating bullets, and I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy says, "I'm doing my Elvis impersonation." There you go, guys. I hope you're laughing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.